Voltron Network.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the DC versus Marvel podcast, where we talk about the latest DC and Marvel movie news. My name is Uz, and I'm your regular DC fanboy. And once again, in the red corner, representing my previous fandom from back in the day, which
I'm the Marvel guy.
which now crashed and burned. it's Ed's representing Marvel. Yeah,
I decided to give them their dues this week. That's it. That's all it is.
that's it. It's 1 week only, right?
There you go. The Batman
only.
t-shirt comes out.
The Batman t-shirt, and I'm not, because I'm freezing my ass off basically. So I've got multiple layers on, man. So yeah,
It's too cold.
that is way too cold, man. So yeah, so guys, we got a lot of stuff to talk about this week, man. We got The Boys, Superman and Lois. Obviously a review of the Batman, there as well, non-spoiler and spoiler. Alien, Craven the Hunter, and some Batgirl stuff there as well, man. So guys, yeah, and some of your questions there as well, which we will answer there today as well, because I will
Shall we start with questions?
I've got to make sure,
because we always forget when we leave it to the end.
Yes, I think we'll do it halfway through, because one of the questions is rate your favorite Batman, right? So I think we should do that after the Batman review, right? Okay. So we'll do that after the review. So first thing we'll get into is a graphic novel-y comic book kind of thing, The Boys, Diabolical. Yes, so the Boys Diabolical, for those of you who haven't seen it, is a number of kind of like 15-minute or so episodes, which basically have different animation styles each time, and they're all kind of tackling a different storyline within the universe of The Boys. And if for anybody who hasn't seen The Boys, definitely go and see it. But yeah, if you know The Boys, there it's crude. It is like it is very much kind of to the mark, basically. So obviously this kind of follows that kind of thing. And there is a little bit of concern sometimes when you're watching a lot of these programs there nowadays, that because of the absolute success of Invincible, are a lot of these kind of animated series that are coming out, are they trying to compete with that, and do they can they get near it or whatever? But this has gone a different tack. It's not serial, it's literally just little stories there, here and there. So what did you think of The Boys Diabolical?
Overall, I enjoyed it. I actually liked it. I was surprised. I was preparing myself to really kind of like with the Star Wars visions, some were real hit and miss. Some really swung and was like, oh, this is horrible. With this, for the most part, I enjoyed like 90% of them.
Yeah, I mean, do you think I think they should have bookended it? Because the problem is that people got short attention spans there nowadays, which I'll say a little bit about in a moment, because I've seen some reviews of The Godfather, which I think we should quickly talk about, which is relevant to the Batman. But I think they should have bookended it with basically having like a real banger to start off off it, and then obviously ending up on a good one there as well. Because the first episode that I saw, I was like, oh my god, this is like Tom and Jerry from like back in the day kind of thing, right?
The baby one, but I didn't mind it. I had fun with it, man. I kind of like what it was trying to do.
Yeah, I watched it and I was like, oh god, just I hope the rest of this is not like this. No, I couldn't, man. I was watching it thinking, oh man, please just show me something else. I can't watch this anymore. But then obviously there were different episodes there as well. So some of them had like an anime kind of style. We had one where this tumor basically comes to life.
Oh, that one was nuts. The old lady, the old couple, yeah.
And basically just with Compound V is just completely crazy. We have another one. One of the episodes which I found hilarious was basically like the superheroes who have the shitty powers, basically.
Deciding that once they find out that Compound V existed and that their parents chose for them to become what they've become, that they decided, yeah, let's just go and kill our parents to get revenge. Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, obviously this, this stuff is not really like tested and stuff. They can't really say that it's been tested. So there's going to be some, some people who end up with messed up powers. And some of these powers is hilarious, man. It's like there's a tragic ghost one who basically she couldn't touch anyone or anything and eat anything, even though she still gets hunger, right? And this is one who's just a giant. But the best one was the one who just turns into water.
Yeah, the Mexican guy.
Like, literally turns into water, but that is it. Like,
but luckily for him, his parents happened to be having sex in the hot tub at the time, so he could drown them. Yeah, that was
yeah. So basically, he basically, I think they got electrocuted or something.
They got the TV.
One of the other characters like electrocuted them and stuff. But the standout character in that was the slow-mo kid, the opposite of the
the dad just let him do it. He just didn't even fight. He seemed like a nice guy.
Yeah, the dad was kind of like encouraging him.
Like,
come on, you can do it. Yeah.
Don't get into
that was so funny. So that I thought was a good episode. Also that episode, when that girl literally she can control shit basically, right?
That was the one I didn't like. That was the one where I was like, nah. That was the Aquafina one that she wrote as well.
It was just like,
I was like,
it was exactly. It's like, what am I watching? Like, literally, what am I watching, man? Because it was so bizarre. And then obviously they had the other ones there as well with the tragic Homelander, where basically just like getting stuff wrong.
His year one sort of story.
Yeah, so he
kind of gave away a little, not fully, but gave a little bit away about Black Noir. Yeah, about his purpose.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. So obviously, from the comic books, like we know the sequence of what is going on, but basically, like, it hasn't shown it in the show. But it's kind of like, okay, now if this is canon to that there, basically, then they kind of know it's it's associated. And it was interesting because they showed pretty much all the characters had some degree of problem, right? So like Queen Maeve was like taking drugs and stuff just to appear just on screen and stuff.
Yeah, that one with the drug dealer. Yeah, that was crazy.
That was mad. That was mad. And that guy just kept flying and flying.
Get faster and faster. And he just punched through that poor guy's chest and into the wall.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So he appeared, I think that guy, that metal guy, he appeared in like a previous episode there as well, where they were just like, I think it was just like, some of the characters were just kind of fighting against each other, and just he's like the big bad guy or whatever. I think the weakest episode was probably the divorce one. I think that one I watched, I was like, okay, it was
the slowest, but I felt sorry for the villain, man. Helping out this little girl basically gets himself crippled and beaten.
Just gets battered, just getting battered on just for helping out, because poor guy just got hammers.
I know.
And that isn't the comic book. That's the classic, man. So literally, there is a dude literally just with hammers for hands, man. It's interesting because there's so many like. I think it's also a tester there as well, that they can see kind of what people like and what characters people like, and think, okay, let's introduce this guy, or get rid of this person, or whatever. So overall, I've got to say, some all right, some not all right, some random, but overall kind of worth watching, I think. They're not long.
Just the Aquafina one, BFFs. I think that one was cool. That's the one that was like, oh no, I didn't like the animation style. I didn't like the fact that the power was just controlling shit. No.
Exactly. And but it did have one of the funniest characters in there, who is what's it called, the Aquaman copy. I can't remember what his name is. What's the Aquaman copy guy?
The Deep.
The Deep, the Deep, who's like literally like the worst hero in this whole thing, man. Like, you know, they literally still made him out to be like the worst as well, which is a classic, man. So yeah, hopefully they come up with another series there as well. You know, broaden up on some of these characters there as well will be interesting. But it's apparently Anthony Starr has been has a suspended sentence for 1 year. Because he assaulted somebody down in Australia or something.
Wasn't it Spain?
Was it Spain? Was it? Is it where they're filming? Sorry,
Yeah,
where he's Australian. Sorry,
yeah, it's not for the. Wasn't for the boys. It was for a film he was doing. I believe.
Okay.
And got into a fight.
Is he one of these people that if you see in a film now, you're just gonna be like, oh, Homeland?
I'm guessing that's what's happened. And then, yeah, some people probably took his character a little too seriously when they approached him.
Yeah, exactly.
I hate you.
And it's like I saw on Amazon Prime Video, like sometimes it comes up with these little trailers just autoplay, and there was one with what's his name, Barry from the Flash series, right? And I'm thinking, dude, that's the dude from the Flash, man. It's like I feel sorry for him because he's probably like this is a serious role. It's not a comedy or anything. He's like, you know, acting in a serious role, and he's probably thinking, yes, I'm gonna start breaking through.
Manly, but maybe associated to this terrible TV show. It wouldn't be too bad if it was great. Like I'm sure the dude that plays Walter White in Breaking Bad doesn't mind being associated because it's a prestige show. But the Flash,
yeah, and he's just going to be known as Barry for the literally rest of his life. Like that is the thing, man. So yeah, that was a weird kind of thing there, basically. So let's move on to some DC stuff. Did you see Superman and Lois?
I did.
This week,
right before we started recording.
That exactly the same. So I was like, I was looking up the comic book news, right? And I was like, it said, spoilers for episode 6, and I was like, episode 6. I was like, oh crap! I better go quickly watch it. You know what I mean? So episode 6. So it's interesting, right? Because basically, there is literally a Bizarro world where Bizarro is kind of is like Superman, but he's more like a pariah kind of thing. He's like hated, and you know, he lives in this really run down kind of farm and stuff like that.
I get the sense that it wasn't always that way. Could be wrong, but when he looked back at it before he flew away at the end to tunnel through the earth to get, you know, into this earth, it looked like he was looking back, you know, longingly that there maybe something happened. Maybe he had his own family, and whatever this chick's doing to combine these worlds is killing it. So
yeah, it kind of looks like a post-apocalyptic kind of thing. We see Superwoman basically in this step as well, which is interesting. So yeah, Lana is Superwoman, which is kind of interesting because there's different types of Superwoman there as well, which is, you know, from different Earths. But yeah, this is the Lana one, which is interesting. And obviously then we see the cult leader, but she looks like she's the president. I think it looked like the office of the president or something.
Yeah, because he had to fight his way through the soldiers in that government installation there to get to her. So yeah, it looks like she's high level.
So it's interesting because did you see like he breathed in kryptonite, right?
Yeah.
So that's like Ultraman, right? That's like Ultraman who basically breathes in kryptonite. And then later on he says, oh, the yellow sun weakens me. I was thinking, this is Ultraman, right? This is more like Ultraman. And then you see Superwoman as well, and I'm thinking, okay, wait a second, is this like Ultraman rather than Bizarro? Because
are we led to believe that those soldiers as well were superpowered, juiced up, because they were doing damage to him, they were hurting him.
They were
either
like
that or that
him and
thing was weakening him or something, either one or the other. But yeah, they were doing damage to him.
Yeah, and I don't know whether it was because everything was red there, right? Like literally, like it was like red in color. So obviously they don't have a yellow sun or whatever over there. But you know, they do, I guess, have like you know, some something that powers him, which looks like that. But I don't know, maybe he only had a small amount left and he went underneath and he was fighting these people. But
he did say the yellow, like where he's being trapped in Fortune Solitude. It's the lights of the yellow sun.
Yeah.
And when he did that inhaler, that smoke was yellow. So it may have been that he was weakening himself, like for what I don't know. I guess we'll
What
get an
purpose?
explanation. But
What purpose? Yeah. And then he obviously went and he fought through them, and then defeated Superwoman and stuff. It's weird because he kind of like he suddenly got strong.
Yeah,
Like he was weak, and then he suddenly
got fast and strong again.
I don't get it. Like maybe I think maybe with this, I think what they're trying to show is that in the other world, in Superman's world, you basically got the military and they're working with somebody, and it looks like they're working with that cult leader now, right? And the whole point is that in our world, like Superman is the one who basically like saves people and stuff like that. When he went to Russia this time, which I don't know how that's gonna play well. I don't know how that's gonna play well at the moment, but he kind of went to Russia and saved some people. And basically like
sanctions don't apply to Superman.
Well, even though this has got nothing to do with the Russian people, and Russian people are,
of course,
safe, you know what I mean? But basically, like, he goes over there, and then he's kind of got he doesn't give a crap what the American military kind of do or whatever. And obviously, they've got these kind of, they've got these like superhuman team that they've kind of, that got killed by Bizarro, I guess. So in the other world, it looks like the military and the cult leader are the top people, and like he's like a pariah kind of thing. So it looks like what would happen if the military and those super people were just able to just run everything kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, we go through a few drama things there as well, which is kind of like, okay, I still don't get it why we're going through this thing like
the Fraternals, get it?
Yeah. I don't get it. Why are they still going through this storyline unless there's some reason why she becomes Superwoman in one thing and in the other one she's what she is, right? Like, I don't know, whether they're saying that's your true self over there or whatever, because maybe this whole affair kind of storyline or whatever links somehow to that.
Maybe she does blend with her other world self. Maybe some elements of that world does merge with this one, and maybe she ends up with powers.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was just a weird kind of thing that was going on. And then obviously like the druggie. Are you thinking now that the kid, when he is, has got powers, the druggy kid is the one from the other universe rather than the one over here? So basically here he takes drugs to get powers, but over there he actually has
from the photos,
Bizarro
where
universe.
we saw the son. That could make sense. Yeah, the other son got the powers and they have to team. That would make sense. That'd be cool.
And then he has to they have to team up to go and fight against, whatever it is kind of thing. So yeah, that would be, but then that would put that kid down even more. Like there's another you in another universe who's better than you, and your brother's better than you as well. Oh, how bad would that be for his self-esteem, man?
Part of me thinks that Lana will end up with powers in some way or another, purely because of the fact that she had a full costume, and you don't just do that for that one little scene, because TV budget, you can't really waste. Unless they recycled it from one of the
other ones,
team ones that died. Most likely that will be popping up again at some point.
Yeah, exactly. So they've got to at some point they've got to do it. But it's interesting to me like how much they're covering like the what looks to be like Ultraman's universe. I just that's the thing. I don't know enough about Bizarro to be like him doing XYZ, but as far as I knew, he doesn't get weakened by the yellow sun. In fact, it enriches him. It's just like he's basically dumb and backwards and kind of so I'll have to research a bit more about that, because I'm not quite sure, but it seems to me like there's an Ultraman, a Doomsday mix and all that kind of stuff kind of going on there together basically. So yeah, how many episodes in this series?
I'm not sure. I don't think there's many left.
maybe a couple. This is number 6, then maybe 2 more, right? Maybe a couple more after this. So they're gonna have to wrap it up at, in 2 episodes, which it's interesting, but it looks like him. You were saying at the start, I think you're right, that basically we got 6 left. Okay. You were saying at the start that the brother might redeem himself or something. Like in this episode, they said at the end that they're gonna lock him up with his brother. Like, so they basically arrest Superman, use the red light on him, so he basically becomes depowered in a scene that mirrors the one where Bizarro is basically coming to go and fight against these people, and they end up putting him kind of away pretty much, and arresting him for treason, and now he's going to be in a jail with his brother. So there's going to be some way they're going to get out, whether Bizarro breaks them out, or the kids break them out, or something like that. And he's probably going to redeem himself, or maybe he goes to the other world. I don't know. That would be even maybe, but then he'd be depowered because it's the red sun, right? So what I mean? So whether he would want the same thing or not, I don't know.
I'll give them props in that they've got us guessing. It's not as obvious now where they're gonna go. Certain things can be predictable, but I don't know where this is gonna end up leading. That's a good thing.
Do you think it was better that they went down this route rather than the Doomsday route? Because that was what we're obviously all thinking. Because you can put more layers on it, right? Kind of like, rather than just a destructive force just going and
his character, personality, motives, and now we get to see what those truly are.
So that destroy, which is fun, but at the same time you need to have some motivation there for it. So but I don't think we're going to see a Lex in this series, or whether it is going to be right at the end, I think so. The next thing I've got on here is the Batman review. Should we go straight into that, or should we do a couple more things before we go? Should we go into that? Let's just
talk about the satellite stuff around. Actually, no, it connects in with the review. So let's get to the review, and then we'll talk about the other stuff.
So guys, we're going to go through a little non-spoiler first for a few minutes or so, and then we're going to go into a spoiler review. So if you haven't seen it yet, definitely go see it. Come back, listen to the review there, and then we'll go through a few things. So because it is quite difficult to talk about this without talking about spoilers.
Man. Why haven't you seen it yet, man? Come on.
You definitely need to go and see it. So overall thoughts first.
Our boy was right, the Oracle. I think the biggest clue to say the main detail that they gave us in their little preview of it was to say that it was going to be bookended by the narration of Bruce, and it was indeed. So yep. Is anyone poo-pooing our authenticity in that much in that regards can stick it.
It's actually, it's interesting because like with what the Oracle was saying, kind of thing, it's like, I went with some friends to go and see it, and we're kind of like, each person is kind of coming with different viewpoints of things when we've seen exactly the same thing, which is always quite interesting. Like I know the Oracle was saying that that it seems like he's getting beaten up a lot, and I kind of was watching it and thinking it doesn't look like that. But then one of my friends said, like, he was getting hit quite a few times. I was thinking, okay,
I think it's more the case of the fights weren't usually, it's depicted that Batman just beats everyone's ass, pretty handily, on his own, doesn't really take any damage. Whereas this guy, Patterson, was beating the crap out of everybody, but he was still taking damage. They were getting hits in and kicks and punches, and he was going down to one knee a few times. So it was more of a brawl than just a nice slick choreographed fight where he was just, messing everyone up.
He was a bit rough around the edges because basically, like, he, if he didn't have all the armor, he probably would have got battered
He'd be
quite
dead
a few times, right? He'd be dead like so many times. So the bookhead thing is interesting, right? Because I was listening to the Radio 5 Live review, which has got the film show on it with Kermode and Mayo, which is a massive show.
What did he say?
And I emailed them basically straight afterwards. And actually, like a few weeks ago, one of my emails got read out on there. So hopefully they read out something like this. But basically, the email that I sent was about the bookending of the monologues, right? Because I'm watching that thinking, wow, they're actually showing all this great cinematography and he's monologuing it, right? And he's not talking to anybody else. He's literally like talking about, this is how he felt, and he's kind of like the start and the end. And what I'm picturing in my head while I'm listening to that and looking at that is literally pages off a comic book, right? Because that's what it is. Like most Batman comic books is him just monologuing half because he's by himself like the whole time pretty much, right? And he doesn't really go and speak to villains. I mean, he beats the crap out of them or like does detective stuff to kind of figure out things, but he doesn't just go around like, having long dialogues with people. A lot of it is just him monologuing. However, on the Kermode and Mayo show, like Mayo was just ripping this monologue, right? He was like,
Really?
He's like, I don't understand why they're doing it. It just sounded ridiculous. Like, and basically like that's why I had to send the email. Like, look, when I was watching it, it was literally like Matt Reeves has taken something off the comic book pages and just put it on the screen because that's what Batman does, right? And it kind of is like, a lot of people, they go and they just watch any film. Like literally they'll just be like, the newest film is out, let me go and watch it, right? And I never understand that. It's like, okay, if you don't like something, why are you going to watch it? Or you know nothing about it or whatever, right? And then you watch it and then it's like there are certain things in there, and then somebody can point out to you, actually, you know what, mate, this is exactly what it's like in Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, blah blah blah, whatever. You know what I mean? It's kind of it's interesting because you have to cater to those people there as well.
Even if it is something which he does in the books, which he does, it's still interesting to hear his thought process, which is basically what it is, what it's there for, just to show where he's at mentally.
Yeah, exactly.
The journey of what he took in the film.
Yeah, and well, that's the thing is like it kind of just it spells it out for you there as well. So this film had so many kind of scenes in it that I was just looking at, which just like this just looks so amazing, like the way they frame stuff and just like so many things where literally you could just take and be like, that's going to be my wallpaper on the back of my laptop or whatever, you know what I mean?
This is something I bring up a lot on the other podcast, and that we're getting fewer and fewer films or movies, there's a slight difference, that legitimately look like films. Like more and more we're getting these sort of sterile digital looking movies in the cinema that just look almost TV like, and it's some people say that they don't see it, they don't really they can't see the issue with it, but movie like this really kind of highlight the difference between just that visual quality, texture, and the colors, and just it looks big, epic. Even if you watch it on a smaller screen, it's still the quality is still there to be seen compared to I don't know whatever else crap's gonna come out this year.
It's just that kind of grain and stuff there on it as well. One of the things that I kind of, when I was watching it, I was kind of just thinking a lot of the time, this is basically answering like more and more criticisms of just Batman himself and the way that Bruce Wayne behaves and stuff like that. There's so many criticisms and memes and stuff all over the internet about, oh, he's a billionaire, he should do this program and that program and this back to work thing and blah blah. And it's like they really do show how shitty Gotham is. Like Gotham is garbage. Like you would never want to live in that place, right? And it is so bad that you could go and do whatever the hell program you want. It's not going to change anything.
Gotham will compromise you. It will find a way to pull you down.
It's so terrible, like such a terrible place to live. It was just like grimy and like horrible, and like it's funny because all the vices and stuff are the things that still go, and you kind of think like, why would that be? Wouldn't it be more like the essential stuff is this thing that is still going? But it's interesting, like whenever you have like a decayed society, you know, where people can't get food and all this kind of stuff, you still have like all the vices are the things that just go, like keep going, you know what I mean? And it did really well to kind of show like how the people who are kind of higher level can still go on and do all this kind of stuff because they're corrupt as hell, whereas the average person is living like an absolute horrendous kind of life, man, like literally like an animal. So let's talk about the performances. We'll come to Pattinson in a moment, but let's talk about Colin.
Dude, the star for me, the star of this film is Colin Farrell. Like I was just every time he came on screen, I was just glued to what it was just amazing. Even though you know it's him, you still can't see him. I'm looking for little slips in his accent for the Irish to kind of that slip through and recognizable mannerisms from other films, and it's like it's just not there, and I just love it. And just the character is just magnetic for me. Just watching him, I was like, I love this guy.
The Oracle said it correct when it's like he's like an uncle, basically. Like, so it's like you don't want to hate him, even though he's not really a nice guy, but you kind of don't want to hate him. Have you seen what's it called? That Ridley Scott film, The House of Gucci?
Yeah.
Thingy, right? You seen Jared Leto in that, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, mate, that's like he's trying to do a transformative performance, right? And it's like, look, mate, you need to go and watch the Batman and watch
he does it too
Colin
high.
Farrell, right? Colin Farrell, and then kind of see the way that it was. Also Zoe Kravitz I thought was awesome,
right,
as Catwoman, just like a different slant on it now. And that I kind of we were debating this on the car ride home. I was like, okay, now who is the definitive Catwoman, man? Because it's like Michelle was like up there kind of thing, and now I'm thinking, so it's but like
you strip away the nostalgia of watching Flaffer, and you know what is there of that performance. There isn't a whole lot of there's no layers really to it. Like there's a little bit, you know, with her when she's with Bruce, but for the most part, the character is fully baked. She just suddenly becomes the fully baked Catwoman of, you know, a comic book. Whereas this one, it did feel like, even just like with Batman, that she's very early into it. Maybe people don't even refer to her as Catwoman at this point, because I don't think anyone actually says it.
No, they just call her Selena, and she calls herself a cat burglar. So she's like the bat and the cat, basically, right? So I like the mask as well, because it reflects how poor she is, and this is just like some bootleg basically thing that she's kind of made. You know what I mean? And I thought that was pretty cool. Paul Dano, what did you think of Paul Dano as the Riddler?
Not to get we're not in spoilers, are we?
No, not yet. Just kind of just generally what you kind of thought.
Dano's always good in as much as we see him, which isn't a whole lot for the most part, but Dano's Dano, man. If you want someone to be unhinged and slightly quirky and crazy and creepy, then he's your man. He just kind of has it. And at the same time, sliver of sympathy. He's sympathetic to a degree as well, because he always looks like he's about to cry. It's on the edge of crying all the time.
On the edge of crying, yeah. When I was watching it, and we'll obviously go wrap this in spoiler territory. I kind of found like he was generally pretty good for the most of it, but then in certain scenes it was a bit too kind of over the top, and there were people laughing in certain scenes in the theater, like when he was talking, and that happens really much towards the end of the film.
Yeah, I think that last scene was
which is a bit too much, because there was no context for that kind of performance, basically. The only one that I thought was miscast was, I thought Carmine Falcone was miscast. I think they should have gone. I like the actor,
really,
and I've seen him in quite a lot of things.
Same, but he's usually a lot more comedic and lighthearted. But I really enjoyed seeing him play the villain And I think he did it well. I liked him. He worked for me.
I think it. Yeah, I don't know. I think of somebody with a bit more kind of gravitas kind of thing. Yeah, because the problem with him is that it was kind of like, okay, he was friendly, but it was kind of like there's a hint of like I can mess you up kind of thing.
Yeah.
But what I would have liked more is somebody with a bit more kind of like, okay, I'm being friendly, but every single time I'm talking to you, am I talking to you in a way where it's like I'm gonna, you know, rip your head off, like if I wanted to, kind of thing. And the way I kind of look at that is like somebody like, you know, Vincent D'Onofrio, who can really has that type of, you know, type of presence. Whereas John Turturro is okay, but I didn't really kind of think that, you know, he has that kind of presence.
I think there was a part of me that is a bit hung up on seeing him in like what Kingpin and Transformers. He keeps just playing these sort of silly, goofy type characters, and there is a bit of it that he kind of reminds you remember those things. So it's hard to take him seriously as a menace in this or as a threat, but I still think he did good.
He did all right. He did all right. But I wouldn't, yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I think we're spoiled at the moment with these kind of characters. Like, you know, we got Vincent, we got Stellan Skarsgård in Dune, you know, we got people like this who are literally just like, you know, you don't want to mess with this person because they will literally rip your head off. He was kind of more like, okay, I'm just doing a business. I'm not doing anything, you know, I'm a nice guy kind of thing. It's like, but actually, really, he's not. And it's kind of like, okay, yeah, you know, it's I maybe that's just my own personal preference. I kind of just wanted somebody where when they do their performance, it kind of is like you literally look at the whole thing and think, I can't trust this guy throughout the entire thing. But with him, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, he's maybe all right. I mean, the Penguin, I was really like, okay, you know what, he's all right. You know, maybe I could, you know, I wouldn't mind inviting that geezer for dinner. I think he'd be fine, you know. So yeah, so those obviously the performances, cinematography really good. What about the score? The score I thought was really good.
Because so often now in movies across the board, you know, I hear people talking about how they love the score, and I'm like, I barely noticed it. It just didn't even register in my brain. But with this, whenever the main Batman theme, I think there's two themes particular with this. As soon as they kicked in, I noticed it instantly, and I was like, oh, chills! I like this. I'm excited.
Yeah. It was pretty cool, and interestingly, in this country, it's a 15 as opposed to, you know, PG-13, which is like a 12 basically in here. So it, you know, they obviously thought that this is
didn't they take it down a bit? Because there's two 15, there's like a 15A, and there's one where younger people can go with parents and one where they can't.
I don't know. On mine it just said 15. I know there's a 12A, so 12A is the next one down, which is basically like, you know, you can go under 12 if you're an adult or whatever. But it's interesting, like when I was watching it, I was thinking, okay, this is not cartoon violence, right? This is like literal, like, you know, battering somebody a lot of the time. And you know, it was a bit too much for, you know, to you know, to kind of think of and stuff like that. So should we give our scores first, and then we'll go into the spoiler territory, right? For me, I'm gonna say 4.5 out of 5. There are some things that bug me a little bit, which I can't give 5 for, just simply because I just can't, because they're, you know, just little things here and there. We'll just talk about more in the
one thing that bugged me, well, I'm gonna give it a 4.5. I can't talk about it until we get to spoilers.
Yeah. So both of us giving 4.5. So guys, you gotta go see that.
If they did this one thing, it would have been a 5-star for me.
Yeah. So guys, definitely go and see that, and come back to this moment to listen to our spoiler review, which
is awesome.
We are gonna
loved it.
It's amazing. It is really, really good.
And I wasn't bored once. Nearly 3 hours, just flew by. Just wasn't bothered at all.
And this kind of idea that, okay, it's dark and it's depressing and stuff like that, and we shouldn't be having this kind of film nowadays because we want something happy and joyous and stuff. It's like people don't understand cinema who say things like that.
They want everything to just be cut. Like, obviously, I love my Marvel movie. That's my team. That's my boys, and I love the MCU. But everything doesn't have to be MCU colorful, and it works for them. But it shouldn't be everything. So to complain if you've been spoiled just watching MCU stuff, for people to moan about this being too dark. That one review, was it you that sent me it, or was it somewhere else I read it with the woman that was saying,
I sent you it.
Saying that there were no jokes and no one cracks a smile. And it's like, does every film have to be like that? No, come on.
So I sent you two. So there's one that was from on our page, and then the other one, she's like, 2 out of 5, don't take your kids to it.
And was that because it was a superhero film? If this was a regular film that wasn't superhero characters, would they still be having that complaint? Do people just do there's still people that just have this stereotype in their head that superheroes are just kid things? That
I think so. And actually, after listening to the Kermode and Mayo show, I'm plugging like crazy. I don't know why, but basically, I listened to this week. I actually went on YouTube and started watching some reviews of Godfather 50th anniversary, right? And mainly what I did was I chose like the youngest people who are watching it and stuff, people who had never seen it before, right? The majority of people are like, this is too slow, the story takes forever to get going, stuff like that. And it's like there's a very big difference between nowadays and this film was out way before when I was born and when Ed was born, but it was like basically like people are now conditioned to, you got to have bang 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 in a row. And if you want to craft something, it needs to be in a series on TV, right? It's like, no, you can still do that in the cinema. You know what I mean?
You watch movies from the 70s, they would take their time. They would just hold on to shots on people's faces, even when they're not saying anything. They're just like eating. They would hold the shot for what would be nowadays way too long. But it would, because it was about, establishing a feel, even if that was about making you uneasy or unsettled. They weren't scared to do it.
And they got stuff like Lawrence of Arabia, where they literally just show dunes for like 2-3 minutes, you know what I mean? Crazy. Just to show like how vast it is and stuff like that. It's like, you did that nowadays, people would be ripping it, saying, they're just showing dunes.
Indulgent.
You know what I mean? So we'll get into spoilers. We didn't even rate Batman in our non-spoiler review, so we just do that. In this, like the Oracle said, he spends a lot of time as Batman and kind of a lot less time as Bruce Wayne, which is quite interesting when you compare that to the Dark Knight, and especially the Dark Knight Rises, where he spends a lot of time as Bruce Wayne. And this is one thing that I really liked, because it's like, okay, I like Bruce Wayne. I like the fact he's just like a playboy, whatever. Just like, those bits to me are interesting. But for me, it's all about seeing him being Batman. And, there are whole comic books where he does not spend any time as Bruce Wayne, apart from sitting in the Batcave talking to Alfred, right? Literally all the other time is him as Batman, right?
And even then, he still has a suit, just not the cowl.
Yeah, just the cowl. Yeah, cowl is off. So I just love that aspect of him just being Batman kind of all the time, right? And I thought his performance as Batman was really good. Bruce Wayne, I kind of think, okay, really my thought of him as Bruce Wayne is going to depend on the second film, because if in the second film he does become the Bruce Wayne that we know,
the image of being the playboy that's irresponsible to a degree.
If he does become that Bruce Wayne, then okay, fine, then I'll take this one. I'll be much happier with this one, because it's kind of like he's got PTSD, he's never got over anything, he's just this emo guy, he just goes and beats people up at nighttime and stuff. And because of that, I kind of got to say right, fine. When the second one comes out, if he's a definitive Bruce Wayne, I'll accept this one more.
With
If
a
he's
trim.
still emo and stuff there,
Got trim the
with
hair
it,
as well.
with a trim, yeah, good trim, yeah. There's a comic book out right now which is called Batman Imposter, which I don't know whether they're taking the aesthetic from that or whether this comic book was made and Matt Reeves took the aesthetic the other way. But there are bits when literally he is standing there as Bruce Wayne and he looks exactly the same as Pattinson, like literally exactly the same, like the same moppy hair and stuff like that. And it's him in like a year, basically not finished a year one, basically, right? So it's kind of like it's very, very similar to that template. So what did you think of the when we had Paul Dano? He's basically like a serial killer, right? And his thought process is killing people because there is a so-called lie, right? Which they really did. I mean, this is a film of its time, right? Because this seemed a lot like he's spending a lot of time on the dark web, right? Like just talking to other
forums,
like incels and stuff, you know what I mean? And basically like saying, oh, there's a lie here, I need to uncover this conspiracy and blah blah blah. And but basically he was like, when I was watching it, because I watched it in IMAX, right? And we watched the trailers there before, and the trailers were so loud, like it was like ear-splittingly loud, right? And I just said to my mate, I just hope that the film is lower volume than this, or it's going to be painful to watch. But when you see the film, you realize why it was at that volume, because when he's got the hammer out and he's hitting people, like your chair is like vibrating, like literally, like he's banging people in the head, man, and stuff. And it was crazy. Like they didn't show like obviously the full kind of thing of dude's head split open.
He was
and stuff
definitely
like that.
disturbing when he had that full-on mask. Like definitely the comparisons from before, everyone kept saying it, you know, it's Zodiac crossed with Seven. That's the perfect, if you're going to describe it someone, that is the perfect description for what this movie ends up being. And yeah, he definitely harkens back to Zodiac when he's got a mask on. I really like that costume. It works.
It was a good costume, and it was kind of bootleg as well, kind of thing, because he does say to Batman, like, you know, I had my mask and stuff, and he goes, it's not as good as yours. I was thinking, yeah, it's absolutely bootleg, mate. Like literally, like the most bootleg mask I ever seen. But they had like Saw elements there as well, because they were kind of like, I would actually like to have seen more of that, like when he gets the mayor. And you know not the mayor,
the head
and
thing
he's in
with
that
the mouse in the
trap, yeah,
thing.
with the rats in it and stuff. I would have liked to see more of that, of like kind of like, okay, he's like struggling to get out of this thing, and you know, obviously they couldn't show too much because it's, you know, 15, I guess, or whatever.
Maybe that's the 4-hour version. Damn, I really want to see that version now. And I hate that. So I don't want to start a whole nother release the Reeves cut, but I really would love to see what that 4-hour one would look like. Everything that was cut out of this. It's an hour, man. Hour and what?
An
hour. 15 minutes?
That's crazy. Because like, I mean, like obviously like he's, you know, there's bits like in Saw where somebody wakes up and they're like, what is this thing on my head or whatever. I would have liked to see that, and him been like, how the hell do I get out of this? And like the rats getting closer and stuff, and like, you know, just the Riddler taunting him and things like that. I thought that was pretty cool. The fight scenes that it had with the Batman were especially brutal, I thought, man. It was just like, it really showed like how he just hated these people, man. And I like the fact that one of the criticisms that they have of Superman is that, oh, why doesn't he save this people? Why does he save those people? But they kind of showed at the start like this thing where it's like all these people committing crimes, and it's like, who does he choose out of all these people committing these crimes, right, to go and fight against? The one thing that I
love
really
that moment. Well, I love that moment though, when as soon as they all notice the bat signal, and then they all just start staring at like the shadows and darkness. They don't know where he is, where he's coming, any little movement, and they just get scared and run. I love that. That kind of shows that it's not really year one, it's more like year 1.5 or year 2, because he's got the name and the fear is out there already.
Yeah. And then all you hear is the footsteps, basically, and it's like, oh dear, something's gonna go down, man. So he's not got to the stage where it's like, you know, he's having to having to hide like in different places and then jump down and all this kind of stuff. He still is like walking up to people and like doing stuff. I think later on, as you get people know, right, they got to make countermeasures for the Batman, right? It's going to be more and more difficult for him to do stuff like that, basically. So, I love the fact that you just hear his steps and it's like, damn, man, he's just basically coming and like battering these people, man. And this poor kid had his initiation like on that day, and the Batman turns up. It's like, oh no, mate, like his initiation into this gang, right? So yeah, that was pretty cool. What did you think of the Batmobile? Right.
I liked it, dude. Like, we don't really get a lot of time with it, but that chase and just the fact that it's like this muscle car, so it really kind of just the rumble, the growl of the engine, man. And yeah, it was cool. It was very cool.
That was the thing, man. We had basically like it was in the IMAX. It was literally, there was like a quiet bit, and then suddenly you just hear this rumbling, like literally the whole theater is shaking, and it's like, wow.
And then again, they look over to like the dark side road, and you just see like the fire from the engine just light it up like it's some beast just waiting to pounce. It's like, yeah, this is cool.
It's like literally he just made a frame with an engine. Like they showed this thing there as well. Like literally they show the engine, right? And it's like basically he just bolted an engine to this pipe frame and just rudimentarily like put these panels and stuff on it, man. I watched this video actually where they showed these guys, they're from a YouTube channel called Car Throttle in the UK, and they went to actually go and see the Batmobile, right? The actual one they used. And it's 9 foot wide.
Wow.
Right? That's wider than a truck wide, right? So it's like,
it doesn't look that big. Jeez.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. So it's like, it's obviously, it's like this guy was like walking past it, it's like super imposing, man. So yeah, I love the Batmobile, the reveal of it. The car chase I thought was pretty cool there as well, because it kind of reminded me a lot of like the whole point of you watching it is like you're kind of looking at it like behind you kind of thing. So it's like it's chasing you. So
your Penguin,
basically your Penguin, and Penguin obviously is like proper arrogant and stuff, man. So
I got you.
I was like, God, this is Colin Farrell, man. What's going on? So yeah, we also see Selena Kyle's storyline is pretty much that she's working in this club basically, and she's basically working there to get money or whatever. But the whole thing is that one of her friends kind of goes missing, and her mission is basically to find out where her friend is, right? And we see, it's interesting because she's kind of got these two dual kind of lives, right? Of her being the cat burglar and also her being Selena Kyle. And I think they're going to elaborate a lot more on that in the Catwoman thing. It's like, where did she get these skills from?
I don't even think they're even going to focus on that. I wouldn't be surprised if it just picks off from where she leaves, when she rides off at the end of this to what she's doing with her time.
Bloodhaven.
This really got me excited for the Penguin show, spin-off show, and the Catwoman, because I just want to spend more time with both of them. Like I enjoyed the hell out of that Zoe. Like, I never really had too many qualms as soon as I saw her as Catwoman, but yeah, this made me really kind of, I was very impressed by her.
There's something magnetic about that. So it's kind of like, I don't know, like I don't look and think, oh, she's conventionally very good looking or whatever, to me. But then you're kind of looking and thinking there's something like that is drawing Batman in. Is like literally like it draws you in as an audience there as well when you're watching it. There is something there, and obviously they must have seen it in the screen test. There's like presence that that is kind of there and stuff. And it's like he's obviously like he's falling for that thing there as well. But it's like when she says later on, like when she's going to start, oh, let's go off together, let's go to Bloodhaven, I'm like, yeah, Bloodhaven. Nightwing. You know what I mean? So yeah, just it's like,
had the books ever had the story of Catwoman being Falcon's daughter before? Was this something that's made for this?
I don't think so. Maybe the new ones, the Tom King ones. I haven't read those ones, but no, not as far as I've seen. So yeah, I mean, a lot of this kind of borrows from the 3 comic books. So there's actually a set that you can get right now, which has got a Batman, the Batman sleeve on it, and it's basically got Long Halloween, Year One, and there's something else in there. I can't remember what the other one is. So the Year One is the Frank Miller one. Long Halloween, obviously everybody knows. I can't remember what the third one is, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of kind of Long Halloweenish kind of stuff on here where they're trying to follow a serial killer who's Holiday and that, but obviously there's the Riddler in this, and he's leaving certain clues and stuff. That I also read a review on Rotten Tomatoes saying that he doesn't really do any detective work. He just takes information from other people. And I'm thinking, did you watch the same movie as me? Because he's the one who figures out all the clues, mate.
Exactly.
I can't understand how people get these viewpoints. Like, that to me is okay, you're entitled to your opinion, but it's actually wrong. It's like completely wrong.
So what do they want to see him doing? Dusting for fingerprints and waiting for the analysis to come back from the lab on the fingerprints, and then go through the databases to who the fingerprints are, like the tedious CSI crap. Come on.
But he's the one who figures out half the stuff, and then he goes and follows this person and follows that person, and then does whatever and stuff. And I think it's the whole kind of thing of it, I thought is quite interesting when they saw the DA's son, basically, because he's now an orphan because the DA gets killed by the Riddler, and he can really kind of link with that kid. And I'm just thinking, are they going to put that kid as Robin, man? Is that kid going to be Robin, right? Everybody's talking about it, like, is that kid going to be Robin, right? It's very, it's very much like, especially if they find out his name is Tim or Jason or Richard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then yeah, it'll be, we'll see what happens.
Actually, something we haven't spoken. What do you think of Gordon?
I thought Gordon was pretty cool, man. The only thing that I would say is, if you are a Christian evangelist or very much into your Christian faith, this is probably not the film for you, because the amount of times they said Jesus like every 2 seconds. Like, I was literally just like watching this. I said to my mate afterwards, I was like, how many times? Like, even like Selena said it, and Batman said it, and Gordon said it, and it's like, oh Jesus, what's going on? And then one of the cops said it, and I was like, wow, man. It's because they can't swear, basically, right?
Yeah,
I guess.
Do you think the police forgave Batman a little too quickly after he basically beat the shit out, after he knocked out Gordon? Remember, he was set up and he had to make his escape, and they were all shooting at him and chasing after him. But then wasn't that long after again that he was back right in the...
I think I'll have to see that again, because I don't know which ones were the ones who turned up at the thing. Because he says like not all of them are like corrupt or whatever. So there's a select group of Gordon's mates, and there's another group who are like the corrupt ones,
the Falcon ones,
who when that other guy turns up, who's like the homicide detective or whatever, he's like quite friendly with somebody else. I can't remember if that guy actually turned up. I know the Latino guy was there, and he would always seem kind of all right throughout most of the thing. So yeah, I'll have to see it again to see whether they were all in that. But yeah, I thought that performance is pretty cool. The whole Riddler storyline, basically, of him basically trying to find out a lie, and the lie was that Bruce Wayne's mother is the grandfather, I guess, is Amadeus Arkham, and basically like they made and she was kind of insane, and they were trying to cover it up, and he basically went to Carmine Falcone to help him out and put the fear of God in this reporter or whatever. I don't know, man. To me, that ended up a little bit weak, because I kind of thought, okay, they're like, oh, there's a conspiracy here, there's a big conspiracy, right? And I thought, okay, what is the big conspiracy? And then the big conspiracy was the fact that they covered up a murder because they covered up a murder because he didn't want the mental health of his wife to get out, because you know he's trying to protect her.
Would have undone his good work as well, all the charitable work he was
Yeah.
doing.
And then basically they all went and jumped on that regeneration fund or whatever that you know did whatever. So I think the main beef that the Riddler had was he ended up getting left in this orphanage, which sounded like the most shittest orphanage I've ever heard in my entire
It's like
life.
the old school Oliver Twist type ones where it's just like, yeah, ton of kids in one room.
He's like, oh yeah, you know, the rats would like bite your fingers, and I'm thinking, what kind of place is that? It's like,
Come on.
is this meant to be like? Because the thing is, like, I was thinking, okay, is this meant to be in the 80s or whatever? But they had, you know, cars from now, basically, right? So it can't be. So if it's cars from now, and say the Riddler is early 30s, right? So by the time he's in this place was 30 years ago, which is what, 90s.
Yeah.
So in the 90s there were orphanages where people were like having their toes and fingers bitten off by rats
in Gotham. I believe it. In Gotham it would not surprise
in Gotham
me.
In Gotham, because Gotham is an absolute shithole. So we basically end up with the storyline that actually the Riddler killing all these people, that wasn't his end game. His end game was basically to get his incel crew to in effect try and reset Gotham, kind of thing. And
is incel the right words?
I don't know.
Anarchist. I'll just say anarchist.
Anarchist. You're right. Yeah, more like yeah, you're right. More like those Timothy McVeigh kind of style people, right? So basically, their mission, in effect, was to put bombs all the way around the Gotham Harbor, and then what that would do is that would allow the sea to kind of come into Gotham. That was weird because then they were telling everybody to go into Gotham Square Garden, which is Madison Square Garden, basically.
So
which is just
this
weird.
Gotham was basically like New York, where it's like Manhattan, so it cuts off and also floods the city.
But it was weird because then I was thinking, okay, towards the end, there's not that many people in there. I was thinking, how many people live in this city? Isn't it millions of people, right? There millions of people must have died.
Yeah, because we saw it like flooding in the streets and everyone running. Yeah, so
literally millions of people must have died from this thing, right? And basically, like, you know, they end up with a flood around, and it's like there's not really much that, you know, Batman can kind of do. But he comes to the realization that pretty much he can't just be somebody who beats people up and puts, you know, the fear of God in them, because he ends up meeting this one guy who he met in the church at the funeral of the DA, who was just telling him about, you know, how nobody does anything for them and stuff like that. And when they unmask this guy who's part of the Riddler's kind of crew, you know, that they ask him who he is, and he goes, "I am vengeance," which basically means that, okay, he was part of that original gang that he beat the shit out of and then said, "I am vengeance" on. And then
I didn't get that. It could be right, but that wasn't what I was getting from it. I was getting that because also he had the conversation with Batman and the Riddler in the prison, or was it Arkham, or was it just in prison that he spoke to the Riddler?
To the Riddler, yeah.
Earlier on, it just basically established that he exists because Batman exists. This is for him to just go around being vengeful. He's doing more damage than good because he's inspiring people, and, you know, off of inspiring the Riddler, who then inspires this other guy, he shows that this is the effect he's having, being this force of vengeance, that he's just making these other copycats, but their methods aren't his methods. They're, you know, more destructive, but they think that's how he is. That's what I was getting from.
Yeah. I mean, the reason why I thought of the other thing was I was thinking basically he just came and just beat the shit out of people. And then obviously, like, he said the line. But yeah, I mean, basically then he kind of shows that he's got to be a force for hope at the same time. And obviously he is there literally in the light, you know, at the end there,
guiding
them, kind of like, you know, guiding people and stuff like that. So that kind of shows that he's also got to be a force for hope for hope for good people and like, you know, trying to, you know, fear for kind of bad people and stuff there as well. And yeah, it looks like he's definitely going to kind of change a little bit in the second one. We end up seeing obviously Selena kind of says like, you know, come with me, you know, you're just going to keep basically they're going to get worse and worse and worse, these villains, right?
You're gonna die.
Yeah. And but you know, she goes, oh, you're already, you know, you're already, you know, somebody else's, because he's like married to Gotham basically, right? So that's the thing. And the thing that I really love about this really is like the comic book No Man's Land, where you've kind of got you know, the Gotham flooding after the Joker's bombs, right? And then basically you got Black Mask, Two-Face, you know, what's it called, Penguin's gang. They're all like fighting for the territory, right? And we see at the end like Penguin just looking out of this flooded place, and he's like, right, this is mine now. I'm gonna take this place over. You know,
the same thing also happens in the Harley Quinn show as well, the cartoon. Where the city gets cut off and all the gangs carve up the city in their own territories.
Yeah, so it's like you know, the thing is like, you know, he's gonna try and take over, you know, try and take over the place and stuff like that. Yeah, the only thing that kind of that when I was watching it, which is the reason why I can't quite give it a 5, is just because there are certain things there in it which I think you know, when you watch it back, probably, you know, later on, like at home or whatever, some of the dialogue I think it's gonna sound a bit weird, because some of them I was thinking there are certain points when he's standing there and he's saying something which actually you could almost laugh at, like, you know, I don't know if you remember, like back in the day, they did this thing where I think it's Matrix Reloaded came out, which is the second one. And then they had this thing where they made a thing about it on MTV. It's like the MTV Awards or whatever.
About with Will Ferrell, the architect.
Yeah, with Will Ferrell, yeah, and like Neo, and they took
vis-a-vis.
yeah, and they took clips of it, and he was like just, you know, just Keanu Reeves, you know, in the Matrix, and they're doing that, and I think that kind of thing could be done for this, where it's kind of like it could come off as funny in certain bits, but you know, overall I really liked it. Right at the end we see obviously Riddler being, you know, locked up in Arkham Asylum, and then, you know, some guy is talking to him basically. And we had it.
We know who is that Barry Cohen, who is playing
the Joker. A Joker, yeah.
Which should have been Joaquin Phoenix. Would have been my 5 stars if they made it Joaquin.
If it was Joaquin, then people would have, you know, people would have been jumping up in the theater, basically. I think, because it would be like, oh my god, he's actually there. You know, like
perfect kicker for the end. Just make it Joaquin.
Especially if he's.
Well, Reeves came out with some excuses saying, well, we started developing this before their one came out. We didn't know what they were doing. But that movie's been out for what, 2 years now?
And they could have quite easily just done it.
Yeah,
and
long enough.
You know,
they were still filming when that come out.
Yeah. Or, you know, and he could have said something that it was like, oh my god, it's actually him.
There's no real reason.
You know,
he just didn't want to play with somebody else's toys.
That's basically what it is. Yeah. So and the thing is with Barry is he's a bit different to Colin Farrell, because, you know, both Irish, but he kind of has like an Irish twang to his American accent. Whenever I hear him, like it's kind of it's slightly Irish, right? So very I think he can only do one voice. A very punchable face, but it looks like in this he's been like scarred big time from Ace Chemicals, man. You know what I mean? So I think he's been mangled by that. So we did actually have a thing.
Reed was saying that he's not really the Joker yet, and he also says he doesn't know whether he's going to bring him back. That he has no plans at this point for that character. So it could have just been something that was just there for no reason that they may never get back to.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I think they should go for Poison Ivy or something like that, man. I think that's a better way of doing it.
Have you heard about the other show that they're doing?
What's that?
Reeves, while talking about the Joker.
Oh, Arkham.
Yeah, the Arkham show. God, how many spin-offs? That's 4. that makes that on the 4th spin-off show that they've been talking about.
That's basically creating your own Batman universe, which is fine by me. I can now lock off DC and say, this is my thing.
This works.
This is my universe. Yeah, we need another person to present the DC part now, because I talk about the Batman universe only, man. But yeah, should we just quickly just go through this this thing here that somebody said about right. The film is utterly boring for the first hour at least, and somebody at DC forgot to employ a lighting director, so it'll be darker than their bedroom, even with the light on. The pace is so slow, and it has a droning click track in the background, which constantly runs at 30 BPM to send most adults to sleep. It's another watch once and never again batball flick, which will give all the DC fanboys their latest nerdgasm, but beyond that, really doesn't have anything new to offer. Stick on Green Lantern, Aquaman, or Shazam on your biggest screen and order some pizza, and your kids will have a much better time.
That sums it up there. Kids that thinking that it's just a kids thing. And it's ridiculous.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know. I don't really agree with that at all, to be honest, because you know, I just always kind of find it interesting. Like, if you're, you know, you have so many people who say, "Oh, I'm a fan," and you say, "Okay, yeah, what's your favorite comic book?" They never answer you. It's like, okay, well, how can you be a fan then? If I said to a Harry Potter fan, "What's your favorite book?" they'll probably say it, like, literally straight off, like, "Oh, you're a Lord of the Rings fan. Or what's your favorite one out of it? You know, what's your favorite, you know, thingy?" They'll know it. But for some reason in this universe, it's like, oh, you can be a fan, but it's like literally like, oh, you know, you just watch the thing. So should we just talk about that, the other question that we got asked on the page as well? I can't remember who said it. We'll find out your name and I'll mention it on the next one, because it's on the Facebook page and I can't get onto the Facebook.
Apologies, but you know who you are. Thank you for the question.
Said rank your favorite on-screen Batman after this new film. Batmen, I guess. Batmen, after this new film.
Okay. If I'm gonna rate Batman, I'm just rating Batman.
Should we do a top 5
in a suit? I can just go. There ain't that many of them. We can go through a lot of them, because it's not about the films that they were in. It's just about Batman in the suit. At the very bottom of that list, Clooney.
Yes, agree, 100%. Yeah.
Then 69 Batman, because he's worse even than
Adam West Batman. Yeah.
Then Kilmer. And then it gets difficult. Oh,
now it gets tricky.
Yeah,
because it's
between 3. But I'm gonna say it's going to be controversial for some people. But I'm gonna say Keaton. That's my 3rd.
Keaton. Third from the just above Kilmer. You're saying basically? Yeah?
No, he's above Kilmer. Yeah.
So he's just above Kilmer. Okay. Okay, interesting. Yeah.
And then we're left, because it's not. You can put aside nostalgia, really break it down of what really was that character. What did we really get from that character, rather than the giddy feels we get whenever we see him? Because that's just me going back to being a 10-year-old, and you know that doesn't really mean that he was the best Batman. Because I feel that Affleck was I'm going to put Patterson at number 2.
Okay,
as good as he was
as Batman,
because I like my Batman hench. I want him to be a bulldozer, and I think Affleck was as far as suits go, Batman suits. For me, that's the best Batman suit. All of them, all the ones he got to wear.
Yeah,
they were the best ones, and I like the fact that he was just a bulldozer, just steamrolling. Patterson, who was the Batman that took the mantle after Bruce died in the books? Which Robin was it?
Oh, it's Dick Grayson.
Patterson reminds me of what Dick Grayson would have looked like if he'd become Batman. He's more slim, more skinnier.
He was a lot like more svelte.
More lean. That's kind of what Patterson reminds me of. And but Affleck is the bulldozer I want, that just beats people into like burger meat. And it's just scary.
So you're putting Affleck number 1, are you? So where's Bale?
In the suit. Oh, Bale. Bale is Bale is below Keaton. because
Bale's below Keaton.
I've never liked his
Oh, you
Batman.
don't like the Batman
I
portrayal?
don't like the. I wasn't a massive fan of the suit, even though I have grown to love it now, especially looking at the one behind you. But I don't. The voice always pissed me off, man. As soon as he opened up his mouth and where is she? It's just a joke. It's just a meme at this point. I just can't. I never liked that. So he goes below Keaton for me. I know controversial. Come at me. I don't care.
It is controversial. I want to see what people say about
hate
that.
Me all you want. I don't care. Like I say, it's not the films. This isn't about the films because Nolan's ones are, obviously still masterpieces, and this Reeves one is obviously still a great movie. One day it may be considered a masterpiece in itself. Obviously better than what we got with Affleck, but as just Batman, just in the suit, I'd be more scared of seeing Affleck come out of the shadows than I would any of the others.
Oh yeah. I got to say, I don't know. Just on that first viewing, I probably got to put Pattinson above it, because when I saw Batman again in Justice League, I thought, okay, he's badass, but he's not like the BVS Batman, which would take your block off, basically. Like, just I think in Justice League is a lot more mellow.
But it should all just be counted as one melded thing, not individual films, but
But I'm gonna put somebody else in there, because I'm gonna be cheeky now, because he hasn't said cinema Batman, he has said on screen Batman.
Oh, I got a new cinema. I can only count.
Which means the goat of all goats,
the voice
animated series Batman
is don't count that one.
In fact, if we're doing that, then Arkham City Batman goes even above that, right? Yeah. But yeah, we've got I'll put those two in, because he did say on screen. In fact, I'll message you Batman, and I will say, did you mean on screen or did just the cinema? Because if it's a cinema, I've got.
Did he do the voices for the games as well? Or was it just the films?
No,
the animated ones.
Yeah, the games are voiced by different people each time. So yeah, there's
so what was your top three then?
Origins and stuff. So let's exclude those. Let's forget about those. So I would say my number one would be Pattinson. My number two would be Affleck, and my number three, I'm gonna say Bale. And the only reason why I'm saying Bale is because when I saw this flipping suit behind me, right, I was like, I need that in my life right now. That is the most badass thing I've ever seen in my entire life. What? So it was like,
one detail we forgot. What did you think of when in the Batman, when he pulled off the bat thing off his chest and actually used it as a weapon
to cut to cut something, which is joke. I found that hilarious, and the reason why I found it hilarious, right, is because I'll tell you guys a quick crappy story now, right? I basically ordered a batarang knife off AliExpress, and it's basically like a flick knife, right? And the reason being is that I pretty much have tons of boxes coming to my house like every day for my business, and every day I'm cutting these boxes open, right? And most of the time I use a key or something just to rip the stuff off, like most people do. And then I thought, you know what, sod it, I'm just gonna get a really cool flipping knife. So I bought this Batman flick knife, right, from AliExpress, and it came to my house, and I've been using it, and it's perfectly fine, right? And then one day I'm driving, and my wife rings me, and I'm like, okay, why is she ringing me at this time? It's a bit odd. I'm not quite sure what's going on. So I pick it up, but I pick it up literally at the last second kind of thing, and it just goes off. So then I get a voicemail, and she's like, you need to ring me back like now, because the police are at our house, right? And I'm like, Jesus. What the hell? Right, I'm like, what the hell? So I ring back, and she's like, what have you done? I said, what do you mean, what have I done? I haven't done anything. Right? She's like, the police were just here. They were asking for you, and basically they're going to ring you up. Right? And they said, it's nothing really to worry about. Well, we need to speak to him. Right? So I'm like, oh shit, what have I done? What have I done? So a policeman rings me on my mobile, right? And he goes in November the 13th of 2019. Did you order a flick knife that was greater than 15 centimeters long? And I was like, Yeah, I did, because I kind of like cut boxes open all the time. They're like, this is an illegal item and you never should have bought it.
Wow.
And if you
How
do have
big
it, you
is it?
can't. It's
It's,
about that long. About that long.
that's
Not
pretty big.
massive. But basically, like, and they're like, you can't take it outside. You can't have it on your person. It's illegal. You know, we're basically like, we're concerned about knife crime and stuff. And
Mm.
I'm like, officer, I'm a 40-year-old man. I'm not. I was basically like, what the hell, man? I'm not gonna stab somebody. Don't worry about that. You know, whatever. They're like, you're not allowed to take it outside the house, stuff like that. So when he takes this thing off, I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah,
that would have been
this is
bigger.
like this is like that bloody knife that I bought from bloody AliExpress.
So
So
being a sword collector must be a pain in the ass nowadays, then.
you can buy swords, but they have to be blunt.
Mm,
So that knife is sharp, right? It's literally sharp because it's designed to cut things. But you can get swords, but you can't. They can't be sharp. And if you sharpen them, it's against the law, right? So you can't actually buy a sword that's not sharp and then sharpen it afterwards.
like it's hard to do
Because
that.
it's
Takes you about
yeah.
2 hours and that thing's perfect.
Exactly. So yeah, so that's the thing. But I thought that was pretty cool. Just overall, man, just love this film. Can't wait to see it again, to be honest.
Same.
Really want to go and see it again.
Stand by my Batman list. Come at me if you disagree.
Yeah, and if you guys disagree with mine as well, I don't know, because I've got to give the edge to Pattinson at the moment until I see it again. Maybe I might change my mind, but that's the thing, man. Probably I'm gonna get a lot of hate from from people for not putting back Affleck up there when the Marvel guy had. So guys, let's flip over from DC now, and let's talk about some stuff that is coming to Hulu, which this kind of stuff used to come to FX and things like that, but we've now got an Alien film coming from the Don't Breathe director. Now I don't know if Don't Breathe 2 was directed by a different person who did Don't Breathe 1, but yeah, a new Alien film set in that universe, basically, right? So it's not going to be in like the Prometheus universe or whatever, where it's AI and that kind of thing. It is literally an alien film. But it's coming to Hulu, which means it's a
Disney Plus
TV film, right? Kind of
so
thing.
it'll be a Disney Plus thing. So this is separate from the Alien show that they're making as well.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It might be in the same universe or whatever, but it is a film. It's a film made separately. So, is that something that you've been hankering for?
I haven't, but I'm always going to give Alien a go. I enjoy the Alien movies, the original, the first two, obviously the greatest of the lot, but it's still fun to be had. And I want to believe, maybe I'm naive in saying, even like Prometheus, it's not good. Like it has so many problems, but there is a certain aesthetic appreciation I have for that. But like I said, it could be naive, but I just want to believe that they've learned their lesson from the failed last couple that they've made and feel like, okay, how do we go back to the essence and make these good again?
Well, Ridley is producing basically this one, so he's producing it rather than directing it, which I don't know, maybe could be a good thing. But I kind of find like, I don't know. I think Predator and Alien need to be left for a while, because it's Predator, we're going to see another one coming. There's a new Predator coming soon
Predator,
there as well, where they're trying to
hopeless, man. They just can't do that one right. They just keep screwing that up. So Alien, what's the last one? Covenant. It's a good few years ago now.
Covenant was okay. I mean, the only problem is that they don't seem to have a route where they want to go. So it's kind of like, okay, we want to do AI stuff now. We don't want to go down the route of Alien. And Ridley Scott says that was actually the route he intended in the first place. For them to go down that kind of thing. So I'm wondering whether they're going to do that AI thing or whether they're going to do that Alien, because at the end of the day, everybody wants to see the aliens, right? They want to see the aliens just wrecking stuff. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was. And the fact they're just intelligent and stuff like that, I don't really care about their backstory. I just like the fact that they just go and just annihilate people. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, there's two groups of people in this world, right? There's alien people and aliens people, right? And I'm aliens people person, right? So
So am I. Even though I do love Alien, but yeah, the Aliens was just so much fun, man. It was just too much fun not to love it. The Space Marines and the multiple aliens just crawling through the ceiling, coming at us. Come on, man, it's too cool.
yeah, and what's got
Get away from her, you bitch.
yeah,
The queen, that massive queen. The first time you see her, damn.
As a classic, and the thing is, Ridley doesn't like that. He really doesn't like aliens, so he's kind of like,
yeah,
he's trying to go from his first one just continuously. The same way with Blade Runner, right? Whereas it's like, you know, forget anything. This is my thing where I'm going from, and that is it. You know,
I bet he hates that there's so many people that prefer Aliens over his one. I think that's probably why he just wants to ignore it.
Yeah, because his thing was like a horror, and then it became into action horror kind of thing, which then took over the whole, you know, the whole genre kind of thing. So yeah, I would like to see that, but I need to see what route they're going from, and just say, look, this is the route you're going from, and just cover that. It needs to be creepy and scary and all that kind of stuff, man. Those kind of things. I would love to play an Alien game on Oculus or something like that, man. I think it'd just be amazing.
What was the horror one that came out a few years ago?
Was it Resident Evil, or was it
was,
Silent Hill?
No, it was
Silent
Alien.
Hill.
No, it was an Alien game. It wasn't VR,
okay.
but you can adapt it to play on VR if you play on PC. But that game was very good. I forget what it was called. I'm blanking. People screaming at their phones right now. But yeah, if they adapted that one to be like in VR for everyone could play it, that's heart attack material right there. That's
be amazing. Yeah, you probably would kill somebody. You know what I mean? Like I went to my friend's house and I was playing Walk the Plank on his Oculus, right? And I've got a massive, I'm so scared of heights, right? And I just could not get out on this plank. And he's like, oh yeah, be careful, because I put it on the setting where you're just gonna drop to the ground or what. And I'm like, you will actually kill me, right? I will actually, like, you know, I'll probably actually die like going on this thing, man. So let's keep with Disney there for the moment. Disney Plus are releasing a new
Isolation. Sorry, I had to say it.
Isolation.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to check that out now and see what that's like. What's some playthroughs on the on YouTube.
It's slow to start with, but that's the part of the charm, because when they turn up, you're being hunted by the aliens. This is insane. Anyway, yeah,
it should be crazy. Disney Plus are releasing a new service, which is apparently going to be cheaper than the Disney Plus at the moment, but it's going to have adverts going through it. Similar to when you have a lot of channels, like we have Channel 5, Channel 4 over here, and you can watch whatever, but they have adverts all over it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and they haven't given a price point yet, but they're saying it's going to be most likely half the price of Disney Plus, but just with adverts all over it, man. So I don't know. Is that a good thing, or is it?
I don't mind it, as long as the main, you know, ad free doesn't go up anymore. Then I'm fine with that. Because I was watching, I've been kind of hunting around IMDb TV, and that has ads in it because it's just a free thing. But they've got a lot of interesting little gems on there. So, and I actually don't mind it for some reason. They're not long ads. They're not too crazy amount. So yeah, it's fine.
It's like when you used to watch a film on the TV, and then like Channel 10 news at 10 would come like halfway through it, and then you know, so if you're used to that, then you're obviously going to be used to, like, you know, the adverts and stuff like that there, basically. So yeah, I mean, that could be an interesting model. It's going to bring them to way more people, man, because it's going to be like, because there's so much stuff. Like we did a poll on the film forum, you know, of what things are worth signing up to, and there's some stuff that I haven't even heard of, like Hey You and Shudder and
stuff, the horror one.
Some people, like, you know,
I've considered Shudder a few times. So I do love more horror films, but not jumped in.
So there's people like signed up to all of those, and I'm like, you must be spending £100 a month.
Must be TV. Insane. Yeah, because there's all like friggin' history documentary ones, and there's so many. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like Stars and all these kind of things, man. So yeah, so that's the thing. So yeah, could be an interesting thing. Let's stick with Marvel there again. Still, Kraven the Hunter, which I thought was dying kind of thing. They've pretty much talked. The whole cast list has almost been released, right? So they've got they've obviously got Aaron Taylor Johnson. They've got one of the one of the actors who they showed there today, who's going to be the main villain. Apparently he's been in loads of other things, but I only remember him as Castor Troy's idiot brother from Face Off, right? Okay.
Oh, that dude.
His brother, who's a bit like,
yeah.
he knows the code, but he's a bit kind of, simple. That's what I remember. Is I think it's Nivola, Alessandro Nivola or something like that. His name is. It's also got Russell Crowe in it as well, right? In Kraven the Hunter. So it's a random mission, man. So yeah, I don't know what is going on there. Wasn't there meant to be also just briefly? Didn't Arnold Schwarzenegger said that there was some film coming out in February or something, and it was like Zeus and
no, it turned out. I think that was just like a Super Bowl advert.
The Super Bowl advert.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So anyway,
thank God.
So, thank goodness for that. Yeah. So Kraven could be interesting.
No, it won't.
Is Aaron Taylor Johnson the guy? Is he the guy who you want to play Kraven the Hunter?
No, end it. Cancel this.
Can they just deep fake him off some dude who's like 6'9" or something, and just massive, like a bear?
I don't want this movie. Why? Kraven is not a hero to have his own. That's Sony. God, do you know what?
Everything. Do you know what worries? Do you know? You hit the nail on the head with that, because that Alessandro Nivola guy has been cast as the villain in Kraven the Hunter. So that means Kraven the Hunter is the protagonist, right?
That's what they do.
It's like, mate. He is not the protagonist, man. He is the bloody evil guy there. You know what I mean?
Just about got away with it with Venom, which, still annoys me that we're not going to get a proper villain Venom.
Yeah.
And now you're doing it with him now. End it.
They shouldn't. Well, burn it with fire.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay, fair enough.
Anyone listening, you live close to Sony Studios, you know what to do.
Oh my God. Okay, guys, quick disclaimer on that one. Yeah. Let's make a disclaimer on that right now. Okay. Interesting. I to be honest, I've no kind of want for Kraven the Hunter and this weird universe where they're creating, where Morbius is a good guy and Kraven the Hunter's a good guy, and they're all not so bad. They hinted at that a bit in what's it called, No Way Home, right? Or No Way Home is the last one, right?
Yeah.
So they hinted at that, where it's like they're not actually bad, they're kind of all right, they kind of, and I'm thinking, okay, it works in that film, but if that is the route that they're going down, it's like, oh, dude, no. Like, literally, all the bad guys are good guys, man. So, yeah, it could be a bit odd, but it couldn't be worse than the Firefly costume.
Oh my God! When you show me that photo,
which I said,
there have been better costumes on any of the CW shows I've seen from villains. Like, that was so bad,
so bad. Now, do you think that Brendan Fraser is miscast as Firefly?
Yeah,
because I do big time.
Yes.
And the reason why I'm saying that is basically because, okay, Brendan Fraser is a lovely guy, but he is a big dude, right? And Firefly is meant to be flying around in the air, like, basically attacking people with his flamethrower and stuff like that, and he's meant to be sprightly and agile and stuff like that. And it's like, it looks like he's just going to be this big brute who goes around with a flamethrower like on the ground kind of thing, which is just going to be not Firefly. It's just going to be some randomer kind of thing. So I don't know.
It looks terrible. I can't. Whose idea this was to cast him, who designed that costume? Like, it's just it's a travesty. I don't know what the hell to think.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's going to be an odd film. I'd love to see what they're going to do on a trailer, because I'm not massively hopeful there for it. Although I kind of like those directors, because I kind of think, you know, they've been given a chance and they should keep going and doing what they're doing. But I think this is like suicide, right? Like,
these are bad boys,
suiciding
guys.
yourself. Yeah.
I don't
it's like this.
understand this part of Hollywood where these no-name people can just come up and have these massive properties just handed to them. I just don't understand how that works, and why can't we get in that position?
Yeah, why can't we?
What do we have to do?
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, we want to know the secret. That's the main thing, right? So the final thing of today is the massive news that Keanu Reeves has been cast as Batman, right?
Yeah, what's this about?
So you know, I told you that I watched the Super Pets trailer, right?
Yeah.
So Super Pets trailer basically has Batman in it. It's like a Batman trailer, right? And Keanu Reeves is Batman in Super Pets, right?
How does that work? How does that sound?
Well, they don't really show it in the trailer, but they're like basically like saying, yeah, he is Batman, because he's just sitting there around while the Super Pets are talking, kind of thing. and then there was a news thing that came out afterwards saying, you know, Keanu Reeves is going to be playing the Batman in this thing, which is it's kind of like, you know, when Nicolas Cage played Superman in Teen Titans Go. I think it's something like that. Just kind of just get in there and do it, I guess. So I don't know, man. It's an easy meal probably for him, just doing that, you know what I mean? A quick easy meal, just turn up, say a few lines, you know what I mean, do whatever, you know. Dwayne Johnson is doing all the legwork, you know what I mean? So that is it, man. And also your boy Dwayne left a post there today as well, man, on congratulating Matt Reeves on congratulations to Matt Reeves on your success in the Batman. And, you know, it's great for us as a as a community, and for our partners at Warner Brothers and DC. He says partners at Warner Brothers and DC. It's like, bro, they're your bosses, mate. Yeah. They're actually the ones who sign the checks, and they're not your partners. Yeah, they are literally your bosses.
That's how it works, don't it? Muscles his way in there to be like a co-producer, and then he can,
and then that is the thing.
Point of the spear and everything. Yeah.
And you know the reason, the main reason why he's saying that. Do you know what? Honestly, I don't know, man. Every time he puts up something like that, I have this thing in my head that he's basically there going, really have. I love the fact that you are,
It doesn't mean it's never sincere. He has a committee of people telling him every letter he needs to type out.
Yeah, and he's gritting his teeth, like, in anger at the at the fact that they've done so well. Now the thing is, if what will happen, right, to Dwayne Johnson's mind if he doesn't make $1 billion+ movie in Black Adam?
Oh, that's say in some bizarre universe where he actually has a better opening than what Batman had, he'll be like Black Adam bigger than Batman. Like all of that goodwill, all of that nice and easy kind of typed out there, be right out the window, like he did with the Avengers thing when he talked about his bullshit YouTube Netflix show movie.
I really hope Black Adam doesn't make more money than the Batman, because if it does,
it won't.
I'm really hoping it doesn't.
It won't be a flop. I'm gonna go as far as that, where enough people will be impressed by some nice effects in the trailer, but it ain't gonna do them sort of numbers. No way. I'll eat my own hair, a handful of my own hair.
You're right.
I'll grow it out purposely and then cut it out and collect it, eat it if it does.
Do you think he's going up and he's going up to Xi Jinping right now and saying, look, bruv, just release this in every single cinema in China and play it 10 million times, and basically then
he'll go to Cena, get Cena to write out for actually some sort of Chinese phrase or something that he could like tweet out or Weibo out, whatever the equivalent is.
Oh, that's the final thing that we I forgot this actually. You heard about Cena's latest faux pas, right?
Oh, what's he done now? What's he done
Oh
now?
my God. And he's had to apologize about it again, man. I feel sorry for these guys. Like, dude, please let somebody check your tweets before you're saying them, right? So Russia invades Ukraine, yeah, right?
Mhm.
And he puts
Oh God.
hashtag Ukraine. It looks like the world could use a peacemaker. Right.
Oh, that was not well thought out. Cena. Come on, man. I thought you were smarter than that.
Yeah, so he had to apologize about it, delete it, everything. He even put hashtag peacemaker on it as well. It's like, bruv, seriously, man, let somebody check for you before you do this stuff, man. It's
They don't
like,
realize how big a deal some of these global events are when you kind of live in a little Hollywood bubble. They don't realize that these are important things where people are dying. Oh, come on.
it just incredible, just absolutely incredible. And on that note, on that note, we'll conclude, man. So, guys, if you have any new messages there for us, I'm really, do you know what? You probably don't send as many, because it's like, even when you do send one, I'm like, oh yeah, that this dude sent a message or whatever. Don't read people's names. I need to be better at like reading people's names. I will do that.
Yeah, that's why we need to do it right at the beginning as well.
Yeah, I will do that and read the people's names out who are doing it. We're very grateful to everybody saying that. I think that Batman question was awesome.
Yeah, tell us your list. I want to know what people think. You know, if you don't agree with us and what our top Batmans are in the suit, let us know. What yours?
Yeah, so we'll put a poll up, and then see what you guys say. So you can email us on dcvsmarvelpod@gmail.com. You can also go to the Facebook page, which is DCVS Marvel Podcast, where we put all this stuff up there. And I'm also starting to share the videos from the Voltron Network on YouTube, which are video versions there of this, if you do want to see us, and as well as the audio stuff there as well. If you want to catch Ed's talking about more stuff, and I did reply to somebody there today who I can't remember the name of there as well, who said, "Are you guys going to review Picard? Because there's comic book versions of Star Trek." I'll answer that there now and say no, because that is Mo's forte, right? So Mo
is
can
the tricky guy.
go and do the Trekkie stuff, and if you want to listen to that, then go to.
We will be talking about it on Talking at the Movie, so go check that out. But if you're watching it and you wanna talk about it too, I don't mind.
Yeah, I just I haven't seen the whole thing anyway, so
Okay.
so I don't know, but it seems very Trekkie from what I've seen so far, the first 15 minutes of it. So so yeah, guys, check that out on Ed's other show there as well.
Talking at the Movies. Go check it out, all podcasting platforms.
And all of that stuff is on the Voltron Network YouTube channel there as well. So until then, guys, go and watch the Batman 10 million times, and we'll see you again next time.
Not too many times. You want Spider-Man to stay on top. Not too many times.
Is that still out in the cinema? It probably is, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. And whatever you do, don't trip and fall into Morbius's,
Oh God, yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? On your way to seeing one of those other two. So until then, guys, we'll see you again next time.
See you there.